Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today on this eGroup and Pure Storage customer testimonial video. I think it's always great for you to be able to hear directly from a customer on how a product is working for them. So today we've got 4 customers lined up to hear that you'll be hearing from. I'd like to start off by giving a big shout out to them and thank you for joining us today. Today you'll be hearing from Nick Guilbeau from South State Bank, Michael O'Brien from the Regional Medical Center of Orangeburg, Ray Gilliam from Carolina Nephrology, and from Matt O'Donnell, who is with a large agricultural bank here in South Carolina. So a huge shout out to you guys. Thank you very much for joining us and sharing your experiences with us today. And before we get to that, we have a little bit of a special treat for you. We've got Andrew Miller from Pure Storage lined up to talk to us a little bit about all the good things going on with Pure right now. And if you haven't had the chance to see Andrew or listen to him present in the past, you're definitely going to want to stick around and check this out. He always does a fantastic job, and you're in for quite a treat. So quick background on who eGroup is for those of you who aren't familiar with us. We're an IT solutions provider based out of Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, right across the river from Charleston. We've been in business for about 20 years now. And one of the things I always like to point out to customers is that we are a debt-free organization. And a lot of times they kind of look at me like, why does that matter? I think that matters because we don't have anyone telling us that we need to sell this product or we need to sell this much of that product. The products that we are representing and partnered up with are absolutely the ones that we feel are the best in breed and the ones that we would want to run our business on. And as a matter of fact, before I came to eGroup, I was on the customer side and I did run a business on Pure. But instead of me talking about that experience, we'll wait and let you hear from the customers we got lined up about how it's working out for them. So, as I said, eGroup is an IT solutions provider. We specialize in data center and cloud services. And one of the things we've noticed is in the past, those two teams were very different teams. They were very segmented. The data center guys were going into your on-premise data center, working on server, storage, network, that type of thing. And our cloud team was working on things like Microsoft Azure, O365, SharePoint Online, that type of stuff. But as the hybrid data center is really starting to take off, we've noticed a blurring of the lines between those teams, where now we'll send a data center engineer in maybe to configure a backup solution for a customer, and they need to be able to configure Azure because we're going to push the long-term archives up into the cloud storage and save the customer money. So all of our engineers across the team now are all Microsoft Azure certified, and there's really been a blending of those two teams. And it's kind of interesting because that's the same thing that Pure is kind of doing right now, where Pure was always your on-prem SAN provider. They were your storage to run on-prem. And they've also noticed the expansion of the hybrid data center. And so they now have made some improvements where you can use the same interface you use to run their on-premise storage, you can use to run your cloud storage. But instead of listening to me go on about that, when you've got someone like Andrew Miller lined up to talk, the best thing for me to do is now to just be quiet and let him explain it all to you. So with that, thank you very much for joining us today, Andrew, and the stage is yours.
Thanks so much, Ed, for the kind introduction. Very well said. And thank you as well, both you and eGroup, for the partnership at Pure Storage. Andrew Miller, Principal SC here at Pure Storage. For those of you curious, I actually do live in the Carolinas, Greenville, South Carolina, and potentially, most importantly for this very brief opening, I actually started on the customer side for 7 years, admin to engineer to architect. I've tried not to sell my technical soul and forget what matters, but as well, the longest in my career is actually as a partner. Partner roles, similar to what you work with eGroup on as an SC to manager director, a little bit of a detour building out a technical marketing team. Here at Pure, I'm responsible for the entire portfolio, get to work with customers, partners, some special projects. As I look back at the history of Pure and think about what you're going to hear from customers in this video, there were a couple of things that came to mind. First, in the founding of Pure, there's this great quote from the co-founder, Kaz, and actually formulated by Kix, one of the chief product folks: "Come for the performance, stay for the simplicity." And it was really meant to be about changing the whole storage experience. People might take a chance on Pure, especially 10 years ago, even now today, for the performance, but you'll stay if the experience from before the sale to implementation to post-sale support and upgrade, if that is dramatically simpler and better, you'll stay around. So how do you actually measure that? It turns out there is a way to do so. It's called Net Promoter Score. And this actually goes from -100 to 0 to 100. And as Pure, we actually don't cherry pick customers. You have it externally done and validated. It's basically when you recommend Pure to folks you like, that's the positive 100, or folks you don't like, that's the -100, kind of thing. Pure actually has an NPS, Net Promoter Score, in the 80s, which is astoundingly high. And that's in the top 1% of business-to-business companies. It even surpasses companies like Apple and Uber and Tesla, which is pretty amazing. And this is also based on the experience of working with our support. You're going to hear that throughout some of the customer comments here in a little bit. The final thing I wanted to hit on is some themes that you're going to hear throughout. The actual experiences you'll get from customers, that's what you should get from them. But some of the themes you'll hear about is what we group under what we call the modern data experience. It's modern, it's about data, it's the experience for you. And there's 4 items in that we like to often focus on. The first one is around the idea that simple is smart. Making something simple enough is very important. You see this whether it's reduction in rack space or day-to-day management, not having to do storage work or manage heat maps and think about performance as much, that kind of thing. Even how you can simply automate things. That links into number 2, fast matters. Now, actually, if you make it fast, it actually makes it a lot simpler because it just works. And then even performance, about being able to do performance modeling. This isn't just fast in terms of things like latency and bandwidth, but the responsiveness of the application. You have to do tweaking and tuning there. Third, cloud everywhere. Now, you might not actually think of Pure as a cloud company, and I wouldn't fault you for that, but actually Pure can help you. And our goal is not to lock you into the data center. It's to help you move to the cloud when and if you choose to do there. That's both from a product standpoint, products like Cloud Block Store that can run in the cloud that you still work with your partner on, like eGroup, for instance, as well as to give you that technical flexibility and financial flexibility, CapEx and OpEx models. That's an offering that we call Pure as a Service. And actually, if you are a Pure customer, you actually use a cloud-based management product called Pure One that actually helps with performance modeling and monitoring and updates, that kind of thing. Last but not least, subscription to innovation. This goes in the concept that for Pure, it's not the best day is the first day, and then it gets worse from there on out, that you can modernize and update and improve every single component in the array without taking downtime. You'll hear some almost maybe crazy stories about doing software updates and even hardware updates without taking downtime, even between generations. That's pretty amazing, right? I know some folks have even done this in the middle of the day. You sometimes hear of this also called as evergreen, that it continues to improve over time. This is a platform that as you invest into it, it's a force multiplier on the gain. So last but not least, Pure is 100% channel and partner focused company. And we couldn't do it without companies such as eGroup that help bring great products such as Pure together with our customers with a huge amount of value added engineering and customer support experience that eGroup provides. Thanks for listening. And listen carefully. Hopefully you'll hear. I made a bunch of promises. So if you don't hear them reflected in the customer videos, hey, feel free to reach out on Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm pretty accessible. But some of the themes that I just mentioned, you'll hear play out through our customer experiences. Thanks for listening.
Hey, just tell me real quickly, how has Pure really simplified your data center?
Currently, the move to Pure has allowed my IT team to focus on other aspects of the network we have here. With Pure's monitoring service, it's allowed us to kind of be a little more flexible in dealing with other issues and not constantly having to worry to check on any kind of bandwidth issues or traffic flows to the Pure array through the network. So it's been a really good improvement to our network.
Well, I mean, it's an all-flash array, so the dedupe and the compression ratio that we get from Pure has allowed us to take several racks of storage and bring it down to really about less than a half a rack of storage for our whole production data center. So it reduces the footprint, and then it really has made it easier as far as performance on the VMs go. So there's no, I really don't have a bottleneck on the storage now. So if somebody says there's a problem with the VM, I'm not looking at heat maps. I'm not looking at RAID groups and trying to figure out where's the bottleneck at. So it's just
exactly.
It just we're getting usually sub-millisecond latency. So it's if somebody says, hey, it's storage. Storage is causing an issue. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not the storage. Trust
right.
me. Yeah, that's awesome.
Just from the density perspective, I mean, I was able to remove several racks of legacy storage and replace it in less than half of a rack with Pure, just it being all flash and it being very small, the power requirements being very low. It simplified a lot just in terms of actually managing and being able to do things in the data center.
That's excellent.
And actually more or less too it's really the operational gains that we've received from using Pure. The interface is super simple to use. I do a lot with the PowerShell SDK, so a lot of times things that were taking me normally about 30 to 45 minutes, storage maintenance type tasks, I have them done because I have them automated in less than 5 minutes. So that's been a huge gain for us. I can focus on other things. I'm not doing as much storage work anymore because it's just easier to use.
Basically, we brought in a solution. We were having some issues with another product. We have a lot of images that we do on packs, and we were having some speed degradation getting to those images. And so we brought in Pure, and it really solved a lot of issues for us. And it was a pretty quick implementation, and we've been happy ever since.
So are you utilizing Pure One to kind of use some of your visibility inside of the array?
Yeah, so Pure One allows me to see, have visibility into both of our arrays. So it's a single pane of view for me. I can see the performance, I can see the capacity, and one thing that I really like about it is the ability to forecast what the growth is going to be like. If we're adding a 22 terabyte data pack, what is that actually going to give me with my current dedupe and compression ratios?
Sure.
So the ability to see all the support cases that that might be open at the time, and kind of manage it, the tickets through there. So it just makes it easier to have everything in one place.
Actually, it's a really good tool to have on the phone itself. It's allowing us to look at the array, view the logs remotely if we're off site and there seems to be an issue of any kind with the network. We're able to look in to see if it's actually the Pure causing the problem or not. So Pure One has been a really good tool for the company here.
Yeah, we have 2 arrays at 2 different data centers, and right now we have all telemetry data going into Pure One, and that's a great place for a single plane where I can look at all the performance data that I need. I can look at past data, because a lot of times you have a storage issue. A lot of times you have to kind of prove yourself that it wasn't the storage performance. And now that I have all that data for a long period of time, I can go back and say, yeah, we weren't having storage issues. Why don't you go back and look at your code, because the array is super fast and it wasn't an issue, whatever you're talking about. But the other thing I like is just having a constant connection to Pure in the cloud from our arrays. I know exactly when it goes down because I get tons of alerts. I know if something bad happens, but the really bad something really bad that could happen is something so bad that I don't even get my alerts anymore because the email's not working and everything else. But with me having a connection from my array to Pure One, I have the app on my phone. I know exactly if that connection gets severed. So if something really bad happens, I'm still going to get an alert on my phone. I'm not going to get called at 3 o'clock in the morning saying nothing's working.
It's just, it's very simplistic. It's very easy getting to the box. It's got a good front end to it, portal, and we know about what's going on with that system, at all times. So it's really been a lifesaver for us.
And one of the things that we talk about is our support. So can you tell me a little bit maybe about some of your most recent either proactive or reactive support cases?
We have not had any reactive cases. We've had a couple of proactives where we were contacted about new upgrades for the software that we were using on it. We've actually had 2 of those since we've owned the Pure Array. And our most recent was we had a VM RAM issue that support actually apparently got contacted the same time we did about it. So they were already on top of it, contacting us before we had a chance to contact them. They had sent out the part and a technician the next day to get it replaced, and there was no downtime or any kind of interruption to our services.
Yeah, so the support with Pure has been great. They usually let me know there's a problem, and it's typically like a disk, that I've had issues with. I'll usually know that there's an issue by support calling me before I actually get the alert from the array. So that, and they're proactive. They open up the cases, schedule everything, and just basically reach out to me, say, hey, where do you need a field engineer to come replace it, or things along those lines. Any case that I've had to open up with Pure has been for software updates or firmware updates, for the array. So just scheduling those, which is great because I can enable remote support. They can log in and take a look at the array and just make sure there's no issues, and they basically handle all the upgrades remotely. So yeah.
I mean support, they obviously they have all the telemetry data. So I've gotten emails that said, hey, we've seen a lot of instances where this bug's happened to people. why don't you go ahead and do a code upgrade, because we see you're running that same version and you're running this version of VMware or whatever else. They have all that data and they're collecting it from all the customers. They can help you make decisions on when you need to do code upgrades. And I can just toggle the box that says remote assist and I say, guys, have at it, upgrade the code. I've never had a single issue with any sort of code upgrade. I would probably do them during the day. I'm comfortable with it. I don't do that because of our policies where I work, but I'm comfortable with it because we haven't had any issues.
Yeah, it was basically proactive. We needed a code upgrade, and they acknowledged that we needed that, and we picked a time and scheduled that, and we had the code upgrade, and it was done real quick, and there was no downtime hardly at all. So it was really, really cool.
Did y'all do that during production hours, or did you take a maintenance window?
It was during production hours.
So tell me about any recent hardware experiences from maybe upgrading the hardware. What have you done in those areas?
As far as the software upgrades go, I mean, with the redundant controllers, if I wouldn't be looking at my emails and alerts, for losing a path, with the redundant paths, if I wouldn't see those those alerts come through, I would never know there was an upgrade going on. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's truly a set it and kind of forget it type of of array. So, the hardware updates, we're at South State. We have we bought the Evergreen storage,
Sure.
and so we're getting ready to renew our final year of support so we can get new hardware controllers with it. But previous companies or have ran Pure before, we've replaced hardware actually in the middle of the day just to see if we could do it. And yeah,
Wow.
it's really not much different than a software update, where our controller's rebooting. So, it's a truly redundant
Yeah.
across all the way.
We had no interruptions whatsoever. The piece was removed during prime work hours here. We're a medical facility, so we need access to our EMR constantly, and it caused no interference during that time. It was replacement part. Everything came back up the way it should, and it was perfect upgrade.
It wasn't disruptive at all. It was completely seamless. Just we treated it almost like just a code upgrade. I mean, it was literally everything stayed up. They did do the pre-health check just to make sure that you don't have any hosts that are zoned in without having multiple paths and stuff like that. As long as all that stuff's set up and you're ready to roll, it's very seamless.
Yeah, so we had to upgrade our chassis and bring on some more capacity. So that took a controller change, and there was a little bit of a scheduled time for that, but it was really simplistic, and it didn't take long at all either.
So tell me what your favorite thing is about partnering with eGroup.
Since I've been with South State, I've been working with eGroup, and the support that they give me, as a VAR, coming in, and well, for one, the quotes, on the things that I know that I need, the quote turnaround is really really quick. And then the discussions, around new technologies and right sizing and right fitting solutions has always come with a great expertise. So yeah, it's been a good relationship.
eGroup, I would say the best thing about them is their response time. If you have any kind of critical issues or questions for any type of really anything as far as ideas you're wanting to do for your network, they're very responsive, getting back with you in a very reasonable time. The group there does have a lot of specialists, so any kind of project you would have, they would have the people to be able to handle it for you.
Excellent.
eGroup, man, they've been a good partner for a long time. I've worked at several different places. I've probably worked with them for over 12 years. Probably the thing that impresses me the most with eGroup is every single engineer that I've interacted with has always been very knowledgeable. A lot of times it's hard to keep up with all the latest and greatest things in technology, especially, you're trying to manage systems, but I can always reach out to eGroup and they're always going to, lead me down the right path and let me know what kind of the newer technologies that I should be looking at and kind of guiding me in terms to help my, the organization make a decision.
Well, they're very easy to get along with. and they're very responsive to our needs. And we have used them for several different complex configurations on our core network. And they have done a great job in providing the service and always letting us know where we're at. And after the service, you know, they document what they did and everything else. So it's just a joy to work with those people over there.